1 million residents of Puerto Rico lose power. The first of all private crew and it visits the International Space Station. Snap-on Tools is getting inducted into the Data Breach Hall of Fame. And Ukraine warns of a hack with their communications lifeline Telegram. All that and more next on The Computer Doctor Show.
You're listening to The Computer Doctor Show, your source for technology subjects affecting your business and personal life during this new normal. Your host is an award-winning office technician and IT specialist, author, tutor, ethical hacker, and recent winner on localbest.com as the best computer shop in Tucson. Broadcasting live, here's Aaron Moss.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Computer Doctor Show, your headquarters for up-to-date scam awareness and science and cutting-edge technology talk. This is episode 87. I'm Aaron Moss, your host. Thanks for tuning in with us every Saturday at 2 p.m. We post all of our shows and bonus content on computerdoctorshow.com. Again, computerdoctorshow.com. And we also want to say Happy Emergency Communications Month. This was something that was designated by the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, or the CISA, as being Emergency Communications Month. And we're going to see why that is significant later on in the show. We'd love to hear from you, so give us a call during the show, during our with your computer, internet, cybersecurity comments and questions on our open studio line, 520-790-2040. Co-hosting today is Katya from the Cassie Unscrewed Theater.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, good to have you with us. And we're going to show some love and support to our expert technicians at Perfection Auto Works. Katya, have you ever been in a car without air conditioning?
Unfortunately, yes.
How did it feel?
I remember having my air conditioning just die on me suddenly in the car, and I immediately called a mechanic. Like, I think I'm going to melt in here if this doesn't get fixed immediately. So yeah, not fun.
It's no fun, so that's why it's always good to have a good inspection. We're still at the beginning of the hot season. You're probably starting to turn on your air conditioning more often. So that's why you want to give Mike Emery a phone call over at Perfection Auto Works and sign up for their free 22-point inspection on your car, which includes parts relating to your air conditioning system. So give them a call for an appointment, 520-323-8650. Again, 520-323-8650. Okay, we have a great show, so we're going to get into some of the highlights of tech news that happened this week. So 1 million residents of Puerto Rico lose their power. And have you ever been in a blackout, Katya?
No, I've been in what they call a brownout, where it's only kind of out.
Kind of, sort of,
yeah.
okay. How long did that last?
It was like, for a few hours. I think that's why that's what the difference is.
So could you imagine, I've been in several blackouts, here in Tucson. So, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But usually you get a return of power within the first 30 minutes. But could you imagine going days without power? Like not just your house, but like the entire town, the entire city, or even the entire island, in this case, Puerto Rico. So on Thursday, April 7th, which was just 2 days ago, there was a fire in one of these power stations, and it caused a chain reaction to shut down other power plants. So before the show, we were talking about, whenever a power plant fails and it has to shut down, a nearby power plant has to take the load of what it was powering.
And they're not built to do that, so it quickly overloads, which then causes the next one in the chain to overload, and it just causes
then it becomes
a big problem.
Then it becomes domino effect, and now you have one failure is now causing a chain reaction domino effect of each and all these things to shut down. That has happened in Puerto Rico, and if like you were saying, if they're not maintained just right, these stronger stations can't take the extra load when one station fails. So our need for reliable power is often taken for granted. So those that could not afford generators that had medical conditions such as diabetes, which depends on refrigerated insulin, they were worried about how much longer they would be without power. Also, computers would not operate, so cash registers, cell phones were useless because the cellular towers lost their power. Most businesses shut down through the sale of flashlights, candles, and bottled water had soared. So you always want to have a nice supply of bottled water and candles around, or some sort of flashlight, right? So keep that in mind, because things, the way power systems are developed, who knows? Who knows what will happen? But we hope that Puerto Rico gets their power back soon. The first all-private crew to visit the International Space Station, it blasted off yesterday, Friday, docked this morning. Was supposed to, I don't know if it actually did, but it was supposed to dock at the International Space Station this morning about 4:30 a.m. So far, no issues were reported. This was from SpaceX. And the boosters, this is the system where the boosters actually, they detach and then they land back down on Earth, and then they land themselves. It's kind of cool to actually see. Have you ever actually seen these boosters land themselves?
Yeah, and it's definitely pretty fun to watch. I'm wondering if when they first planned this, if they got pulled aside by the government, like, you might be bringing one of our astronauts home if Russia's still not letting them take a ride on their shuttle.
Ooh, yeah. Well, we had covered that a little bit because although there are people from different countries in an International Space Station, obviously they are still living together up there, and the camaraderie seems to surpass these international borders. Okay, they're all astronauts, they're all aviations, and that kind of makes them click together. And they say, yeah, our governments are at war, but we're still friends. That it's kind of like that. So it's kind of interesting. But SpaceX has plans to build its own space station modules. So moving forward, they are trying to create a module that would attached to the International Space Station on their own. And then in the near future, hopefully, or as I understand it, they're going to be building building entire space stations completely independent of the International Space Station. So that would be very, very interesting to see. And some of these things may happen as soon as 2024, just a mere 2 years into the future. So that's kind of interesting. Also, Snap-on tools. We know about Snap-on tools, right? We see the trucks around town, and a lot of the mechanics, people that depend on their tools, people that give good rugged use to these tools. They depend on the lifetime warranty that the Snap-on. These are expensive tools. A lot of them are power tools. Back in the days, there was Craftsman, but right now Craftsman does not do lifetime guarantee on power tools. They only give lifetime guarantee on hand tools. Right? But you want that lifetime warranty on the power tools, and that's what Snap-on is actually able to do. And they do a great job, but unfortunately they suffered a data breach. So about a month ago, their entire website went down. Many customers were complaining, orders were being delayed, things like that. And ironically, there was actually a message board that I was able to look up, and there were actually customers that were actually thinking, hey, they might have been hacked. And sure, now, of course, the company was a little bit tight-lipped about it. They didn't want to say anything. But just a couple days ago, right on their official website, if you were to go to snapon.com right now on their official website, you would see their statement about how they were breached and how they're still working hard to evaluate it. Now, the same thing the same thing that we've discussed, similar to power and similar to what we've expressed in previous episodes, is that when a ransomware attack happens or some sort of data breach happens, what you want to do, the idea is to contain it so that it doesn't spread to other operations. The only way to stop the spread and to investigate what happened is to shut everything off and turn things on one by one to evaluate, hey, is this causing a problem? And then you turn things back on step by step, reevaluating each thing. And it takes teams upon teams and lots of teamwork in IT, technicians and troubleshooters to figure out, is it okay to turn this thing on and let it perform operations now, or do we need to redo everything? Okay. And all those decisions are made in the middle of customers needing these services. I mean, look what happened to Colonial Pipeline, right? People needed their gas. They couldn't pump. They couldn't get the gas out because all these pumping stations had their own computers and their own systems, and they were all locked up.
Until they could be evaluated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
It is funny that we have this happen so often now that as a customer, we can kind of see the signs. We're like, yeah, this is another hack.
So that just goes to show you, no one is really invincible to these hacks. Okay, the things that you have to remember, because it's not, it used to be that they would be attacking individuals, but obviously they found a way to make more money by attacking larger companies. And the way ransomware works, as I've said in many episodes, they smuggle little bits of the program into your computer over long periods of time, sometimes over days, weeks, months, sometimes even over years. And once the entire program is completely in the computer, it gets assembled together, and then it gets turned on, and then it starts communicating with the actor, and it says, okay, I am ready to lock up this computer. And then the agent pushes a button that detonates that software. And once that happens, it can take somewhere between 4 minutes and 26 minutes to completely lock up an entire system. Sometimes a few hours, but there are softwares out there that can do it in under 10 minutes. So that's kind of scary. So all that to say, we need to make sure that we are have our backups in place, and that everything that we're doing, we have to make sure that we're not going into these sites that are not confirmed. We got to make sure that we're not clicking on links that we don't trust. And we're going to also always have future segments. We're going to take our commercial break now with a word from our sponsor. Up next on the Computer Doctor Show, Science and Tech Anniversaries and people trying to hack Ukrainians through Telegram. This is the Computer Doctor Show.
The Computer Doctor Show is proud to support National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Nothing is more important than getting to your destination safely. Use your phone and other technology only when you're safely parked. Help save lives. For more information, visit phonesdownjustdrive.com. Phones down, just drive. It's the law.
Hey, Charlie, I feel bad about this. Here we are on the waterfront to watch your Rambler Marlin get crushed.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me. I should have taken better care of it. I can almost hear it speak to me. It was you, Charlie. Let's face it, you were my owner. You should have looked out for me a little bit. Should have taken care of me a little bit more. You should have taken me to Perfection Auto Works. Should have kept my oil clean. Kept me tuned up. You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody besides a wreck. Which is what I am, Charlie. It was you, Charlie.
Saying goodbye to your car can be a real tearjerker. Keeping your car maintained is the best way to keeping your car or truck on the road forever. Let Perfection Auto Works be the happy ending for your car. Call today, 323-8650 and perfectionautoworks.com.
Computer Doctor of Tucson is the best choice in desktop support in Tucson. They fix error messages, power and boot problems, install of software and hardware, and much more. You can come to them, or they can come to you, or even have a remote support session so they can fix your issues over the phone quickly. Give them a call at 261-5508, 261-5508. Visit them on the web at computerdoctortucson.com. Computer Doctor of Tucson, because technology is great when it works.
Welcome back to the Computer Doctor Show, your source for scam awareness, science, and cutting-edge technology talk. I'm Aaron Moss, your host, along with Katya, co-hosting today from the Unscrewed Theater. Before we get into the next segment, Katya, what can you tell us about the Unscrewed Theater?
Well, we have a couple shows tonight at 7:30 and at 9 with our Not Burnt Out, Just Unscrewed house team. But also this Sunday at 1, we have our children's show, Rabbit Hood, which will be fun and Easter themed. And we'll have that again next Saturday at 1. So if you've got little ones and you want to go take them for a fun interactive show, be sure to check it out.
All right. I just might be at one of those shows tonight. Who knows? If you would like to meet me, come on down to the Unscrewed Theater tonight. Now, here are some announcements. Now, this is kind of cool. When I saw this, I was trying to figure out, since this is a radio show, but we also have the podcast show. And if you listen to the podcast on computerdoctorshow.com, just click episodes, and then you can see all of our previous episodes, all the way down to episode 1, mind you. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing the link. Now, you could actually see a picture of what I'm about to describe. It's called a motorized gaming bed that lets you rest your gamer head. It's basically a bed desk. And yes, they now have bed desks. And just use your imagination of what this is capable of. And you can basically just be in bed all day long playing games. And where was this when I was 13 years old? That's what I want to know. Okay, I dreamt of having something like this, where you're like in your own little pod, okay, and now you can use your already existing bed. Now, it'd be neat if you had a Craftmatic bed, right? That has the motorized
that lifts
bed
you up if
that
you
lifts you
want,
up in the
yeah.
middle, right? You can have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You still have to get up for some things. Just use your imagination, but for the most part, you're just in this thing, just in the digital world. I mean, what can be better than that? How about that? Is that something that you might like? Is that something that non-gamers would dream of? Are you a gamer?
I am a gamer.
You are a gamer. Okay.
I was gonna say.
Does this appeal to you?
I feel like if I give myself the excuse to just do that, I really would just never leave the bed. At this point, I at least have to go to my couch if I want a game.
There you go. Well, it's called, I don't know, it's by a Chinese company. I can't even pronounce the name, so I'm not even going to try. But if you're interested in that, look for the link on the podcast notes on computerdoctorshow.com, episode 87. Also, another announcement today, Apple in Yeongdong opens. That's in South Korea. It's a place in South Korea. It has a new retail store located in the center of Seoul, South Korea, a vibrant and bustling shopping district, serving as Apple's largest store in South Korea now. And I saw some pictures of it. I did not get to see any of the grand opening festivities, but I'm sure that's going to be on social media if you probably do a search for new Apple store in South Korea. So that's actually pretty nice to look at. And I also started to notice that there seems to be this return to retail store model for a lot of big box chains. And, before COVID, there were a lot of chains that were going out of business. They were just closing up. Microsoft closed a lot of their retail stores. Okay, so many electronics retailers closed up their stores, thinking that there was never ever going to be a return. But now the playing fields are starting to shift back, and places are starting to open up again. So that's pretty interesting.
People want to be able to go to a store again. They're like, I've been in my house in my gaming bed for too long.
Yeah. We don't want to order things online anymore. We want to go in the store. We want to touch the thing, feel the thing. Okay. All right. Now it's time for science and tech history nerd news with our correspondent, Katya. What do you have for us?
Okay. Well, the first one, and I told this is kind of a personal one for you, is that 116 years ago, Xerox was founded.
Xerox was founded. Now, I was making a little bit of fun of you. See, younger people may not know what Xerox is. Okay, us older folks, we grew up on Xerox. It was so popular that when you would make a copy of something, sometimes people would say, "Could you Xerox this?" That's how closely associated the copier industry was with the brand of Xerox. And I actually worked for Xerox. That's the personal connection there. It was my first technology job right out of high school. My first job out of high school was actually working at Pier 1 Imports. It was in retail. But I was just only there temporarily. I was waiting for the real career job to come along, and it did, and that was with Xerox, and I was trained there as an engineer, and I fixed and repaired, serviced copiers, both analog, digital, fax machines, and printers for Xerox for about 9 years, and then I moved on to another company called Pitney Bowes. There we go. And so that's my personal thing there. So it's good to know that Xerox is still in business. They got to change up their things because they're starting to slide a little bit in the industry. So I hope they pick back up. What else is there?
Okay. We also, 41 years ago, was the Space Shuttle Columbia. It was launched from Cape Canaveral, and was the first reusable manned spacecraft to travel to space.
The first reusable, right, manned spacecraft to travel to space, and it was pretty cool. I was not. I was just a wee little thing when this was happening. But when I was a kid, whenever I like to draw pictures of rockets, and the rockets would always be the shape of the Space Shuttle Columbia. So I grew up thinking that that's what all rocket ships look like. They all look like space shuttles. So that's actually pretty cool. What else is there?
And then finally, 52 years ago was the Apollo 13 oxygen tank explosion.
Okay, so here we are. Today is April 9th, and next couple of days it will be that anniversary of Apollo 13. Now, Apollo 13 is a great movie. It's one of my favorite movies still, and I love it. And it was an amazing event. It was a disastrous, but it actually had a happy ending, and we're glad of the advances that space has made. And now that more and more of it's going more and more commercial, there's more and more opportunities for engineers and more people around the world to get involved in space travel and space exploration. But hopefully we can continue to do that in a very, very safe way. We have one more story to get to with the time that we have left. Ukraine warns of a hack with their communications lifeline, Telegram. So Telegram is a social media. It's an app. It's a messaging system. Now, of course, it's a lifeline app for many Ukrainians because they have this long history with COVID. They were using it before COVID. They're using it after COVID. It was a very, very dependable platform, especially with a lot of their news and political information sharing, and it's still serving them very, very well now with this Russian tension. So they found it to be more usable than other apps such as Twitter, Facebook, and WhatsApp, but Ukrainians found it more careful. But now that more and more people are starting to use it, that has now attracted more scammers. So a lot of the scams that they were using on some of these other programs are now starting to focus in on Telegram. So if you are a Telegram user, please be careful of those scams because they will be coming around to a Telegram near you. Before we wrap up, I just want to thank our sponsor, Perfection Auto Works, again for sponsoring our show. Stop by their location on Speedway in Craycroft for your free 26-point inspection. If you missed any part of this episode, go to computerdoctorshow.com, click episodes, then find episode 87. My name is Aaron Moss, your host and technology expert. We have Katia here co-hosting from the Unscrewed Theater. Tom Fairbanks is at the control board. And as always, I'm going to say this on the ending of all of my shows from now on. It's the same reminders that I've been giving all of our listeners for a very, very long time, but we're going to start repeating it at the end of every show. Don't click unverified links in emails or text messages. Use a password manager. Enable two-factor authentication. Verify all incoming and outgoing calls. Back up your system to the cloud. And listen to the Computer Doctor Show live on Saturdays and new posts on Tuesdays. Stay safe, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Computer Doctor Show. If you missed any part of this live broadcast, we post all our episodes online at computerdoctorshow.com. Remember, the world is getting more and more tech, and so should you. To stay current with technology, listen to the Computer Doctor Show each week for local and global tech insights. If you have suggestions for a topic on a future show, send us an email at info@computerdoctorshow.com.